Introduction. That one thought that won't leave you alone. You know the one. It sneaks in just before you fall asleep or right when you're enjoying a walk. Maybe you're sitting at your desk minding your own business and boom, there it is again. What if I made the wrong decision? Why did they say that? What if something bad happens? Should I have said more or said nothing at all? The thought comes, then another, then 20 more. And soon, you're not in the moment anymore. You're in your mind, pacing mental hallways, questioning every memory, analyzing every conversation, trying to decode the future like it's a puzzle with an answer you missed. That, right there, is overthinking. And if you're like most people, you've probably tried to think your way out of overthinking. Maybe you've even told yourself to just stop thinking so much, which, let's be honest, only made things worse. It's like trying to put out a fire with gasoline. But here's the thing, overthinking isn't just a habit. It's a misunderstanding of how your mind works. And once you understand that, everything changes. Why we overthink and why it's not your fault. Let's not beat ourselves up here. Your brain isn't broken. It's doing exactly what it was built to do, solve problems. But the problem is, when there isn't a clear problem, it invents one. That's where overthinking sneaks in. We evolved to survive, not to be happy. That's worth repeating. Your mind is wired to scan for danger, predict threats, and imagine worst-case scenarios, because thousands of years ago, that helped you live another day. But in modern life, that ancient wiring starts glitching. Instead of lions, we worry about inboxes. Instead of starvation, we stress over what someone might have meant in a text. Instead of a real emergency, we spiral over imagined futures. The danger isn't out there anymore. It's in here, in our thoughts. The mental loop that traps us. Let me paint a picture. You're lying in bed. Lights are off. Room is quiet. You should feel calm. But one thought comes in sideways. What if tomorrow goes badly? You entertain it. You start rehearsing conversations, planning responses, imagining outcomes. And even though nothing has actually happened yet, your heart is racing, your stomach is tight, and your sleep is gone. All because of a scenario that may never exist. That's the strange trick of overthinking. It creates stress from thin air. It disconnects us from what's real and locks us into what's hypothetical. And we start living in a reality shaped by what might happen instead of what is. It's not that your thoughts are always wrong, it's that they aren't always useful. And that's the difference nobody teaches us. Why we keep going back, even when it hurts. Here's the weird part. Sometimes we like overthinking, or at least we think we need it. It gives us the illusion of control. If I can just figure this out, I'll feel better. If I analyze it a little more, I'll make the right choice. If I keep thinking about it, I'll be prepared. But the truth? Most of that thinking isn't productive. It's obsessive. And obsession doesn't give clarity. It clouds it. We don't realize we're stuck because we're busy. And busyness, especially mental busyness, feels like we're making progress even when we're going in circles. That's the catch. You're not lazy. You're exhausted from thinking too much about things that won't change just because you worry about them. Here's what you really need. You don't need to stop thinking. You need to stop believing every thought. You need to stop treating thoughts like truths. And most of all, you need to build a healthier relationship with your own mind. You need a way to live with your thoughts without letting them live you. Why these 6 lessons work. These aren't hacks, and they're not therapy, though therapy is amazing. They're practical Buddhist-inspired mindset shifts that can help you slow down the spiral and reclaim your peace. These lessons aren't about controlling your mind. They're about liberating it. Think of it like learning to swim. You don't stop the ocean from moving. You just learn how to float, how to stop fighting the waves and start flowing with them. In the pages ahead, I'll walk you through 6 lessons that changed how I relate to my thoughts. They've helped thousands of people, not just to feel calmer, but to finally feel free. And no, you don't need to be a monk or meditate for 3 hours a day. You just need curiosity, patience, and a willingness to see your thoughts differently. Before we begin, a gentle warning. Overthinking won't vanish overnight, but every moment you become aware of it, you've already loosened its grip. This isn't a race. This is a return to presence, to clarity, to peace. So, take a breath. Let's begin with Lesson 1. Lesson 1. Stop worshiping every thought. Not every thought is sacred. Not every voice in your head is wise. Let's start here, because if you only took away one idea from this entire journey, I hope it's this. Just because you have a thought doesn't mean it deserves your attention. That's right. Thoughts come. Thoughts go. But not all of them are useful. And certainly not all of them are true. You wouldn't pick up every rock on the ground just because it's there, would you? So why pick up every thought? The thought trap. Why we give them so much power. It happens almost automatically. A thought shows up, and instead of treating it like a passing cloud, we treat it like a command from the heavens. We believe it, we chase it, we feed it, we become it. It's a funny thing, actually, how humans mistake thoughts for identities. You think, I'm not good enough, and without realizing it, you become that thought. You wear it, carry it, let it shape your choices. But here's the radical truth. You are not your thoughts. You are the awareness that notices them. What monks know that most people don't. In many Buddhist traditions, especially in Zen and Vipassana, there's a deep practice of watching the mind, not to judge it, but to observe it. Monks spend hours a day sitting in silence, not to clear the mind, contrary to popular myth, but to see it clearly. They learn that the mind is like a noisy marketplace. Thoughts come shouting like vendors. Worry here, fear this, buy into this regret. And the trick isn't to shut the market down. It's to walk through it without buying everything in sight. That's what we can learn. We don't need to fight our thoughts. We just need to see them without worshiping them. Your brain is a storytelling machine. Think of your brain like an over-enthusiastic writer. It's always crafting stories when she didn't reply because she's mad at you. You'll never succeed because you failed once. If you don't do everything perfectly, you'll mess up everything. Notice the pattern? It creates stories. But that doesn't mean the stories are real. Honestly, most of your thoughts are junk drafts, half-formed ideas, unconscious habits, echoes of past experiences, or emotional residue from something unrelated. Would you believe every ad on the internet? No? Then why believe every thought your brain throws at you? The analogy, a noisy neighbor. Imagine this. You have a neighbor who constantly yells through your window. They give you unsolicited advice. They remind you of every mistake. They predict disasters. They analyze everyone's tone of voice. They question your every move. Would you invite them inside for coffee? Number. You'd probably close the blinds, maybe turn on some music or go for a walk. But when that noisy neighbor lives in your mind, you do the opposite. You pull up a chair and say, let's talk about it for 3 more hours. You don't need to silence the neighbor. You just need to stop treating them like a guest of honor. How to practice this in real life? Here's something simple. Start labeling your thoughts. Not judging, not fixing, just labeling. When a thought pops up like, I'll never be good enough, you say, that's a fear thought. Or, they're probably judging me. That's a story. Or, I need to fix this feeling. That's a resistance thought. Labeling creates space. It separates you from the thought. It interrupts the worship. You stop being the actor and become the director. Quick practice. The leaf on the river. Try this for 30 seconds. Close your eyes and imagine a clear, gentle stream. Each time a thought arises, don't fight it. Don't follow it. Just place it on a leaf and let it float downstream. Let another thought come. place it on another leaf. Watch it drift away. Do this a few times. You'll notice you're not the thought. You're the riverbank. You're the witness. And that shift, it's everything. The cost of worship, what happens when we don't stop. When we give every thought full authority, a few things happen. 1. We become mentally exhausted. Your brain was never meant to process 60,000 thoughts a day with equal importance. It's like trying to read every comment on the internet. Total overload. 2. We get stuck in indecision. When every idea, doubt, and fear is treated as equally valid, we can't move. We start second-guessing even our second guesses. 3. We lose connection to reality. Overthinking often pulls us away from what's actually happening. We stop noticing the moment, the body, the breath. But when you stop bowing to every thought, you get your clarity back, your calm, your freedom. A real story, the email that almost ruined her week. Let me tell you about Maya. She was 38, working in HR, and described herself as a classic overthinker. One day she received a short, vague email from her manager. "Can we talk tomorrow?" That was it. No context, no hint. Her brain went wild. She imagined being fired, criticized, demoted. She rehearsed responses, played every version of the conversation. She couldn't sleep that night. The next day, her manager simply asked for help on a new project. No drama, no problem. When I asked Maya what she learned, she said, "I realized my mind made a movie with zero evidence, and I watched the whole thing like it was real." That's the power of an unexamined thought. It can hijack your whole nervous system. The shift from worship to witness. This lesson isn't about controlling thoughts. It's about changing your relationship with them. The shift is subtle but powerful. From "this thought must be true" to "this is just one thought among many." From "I need to fix this feeling" to "I can notice this feeling without obeying it." From "this thought is me" to "this thought is something I'm experiencing." It's a return to sanity, to sovereignty, to peace. Final words for Lesson 1. You're not here to fight your mind. You're here to understand it, to see it clearly, to reclaim your power from it. Not all thoughts are enemies, but not all of them are friends either. Some are just noise. And now, you're learning how to turn the volume down. Take a breath. Let's keep going. Lesson 2. Shift from thinking mode to sensing mode. Get out of your head and into your body. It's the only place peace lives. Let's talk about something weird. Have you ever found yourself lost in thought for hours, over-analyzing, predicting, worrying, and then someone says your name and suddenly you're like, "Oh, right, I'm here, I have a body, I exist." It's jarring, isn't it? Overthinking does that. It pulls you so deeply into your mind that you forget your senses. You forget your breath. You forget the texture of life around you. And yet, the way out of overthinking? It's not thinking more, it's sensing. It's returning. Why your brain isn't the best place to live full-time. Let's be honest, our brains are amazing. They solve problems, learn languages, design rockets, bake perfect sourdough, all kinds of brilliant things. But they also catastrophize. They loop. They invent problems just to stay busy. And when we over-identify with our thoughts, we fall into what neuroscientists call narrative mode. This is the part of the brain that's always telling a story. This happened because of that. That person said this, so maybe they meant that. What if this leads to that? It's exhausting. But your body doesn't live in stories. Your body lives in now. That's why sensing, feeling your breath, your feet on the floor, the breeze on your face, is the fastest way to escape the mind's endless narration. The Buddhist perspective. Presence as the antidote. In Vipassana meditation, one of the most ancient forms of Buddhist practice, the entire point is to develop sati, mindful awareness. And how do you build that awareness? By noticing what is as it is. The rise and fall of the breath, the feeling of the belly, the touch of air on your skin. simple things, physical things. Because as soon as you return to your senses, the mind has less power to pull you into imaginary futures or recycled regrets. A Zen teacher once said, "The body is always in the present, the mind rarely is." That's the key. You don't have to fight the mind. You just have to return to the body. The realization that changed everything for me. I remember once sitting in my room, replaying a conversation over and over. You know the kind, the one where you think, maybe I said too much, maybe I sounded weird, maybe they didn't like me. I couldn't stop. It was like a mental merry-go-round. Then suddenly I noticed I was clenching my jaw. My hands were fists. My stomach was tight. My body had been screaming, but I wasn't listening. So I got up, walked barefoot outside, felt the earth. I didn't solve anything, but I came back. And sometimes coming back is the most powerful thing you can do. Sensing mode versus thinking mode. Let's break it down. Thinking mode, sensing mode, future-oriented, what if? Present-based, what is? Abstract, fast, repetitive, concrete, slow, grounding. Driven by fear or control. Rooted in curiosity and stillness, often overwhelming, often peaceful, even neutral. Feels real, but is real, felt directly. See the difference? Thinking mode wants to figure life out. Sensing mode lets life unfold. Practical tools to shift from mind to body. 1. The 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Method. Anxiety creeping in? Try this. 5 things you can see. 4 things you can feel. 3 things you can hear. 2 things you can smell. 1 thing you can taste. It sounds silly, but try it. Really try it. You'll feel yourself drop into your body within minutes. 2. Cold showers or face dunks. Yes, I'm serious. Cold water brings you into the now faster than any self-help book. It shocks you out of narrative and back into sensation. 3. Walk without a phone. This one's underrated. Leave your phone. Walk slowly. Feel each step. Notice your surroundings. Don't listen to music, just be. You'll start to notice trees again. Sounds, the wind, yourself. 4. Body scanning meditation. Lie down, close your eyes, and simply scan from your toes to your head. Notice tightness, heat, movement, vibration. You're not trying to change anything, you're just learning to feel again. Analogy, the radio dial. Imagine your mind is a radio. Thinking mode is like being stuck on a fast-talking news station. It's loud, anxious, repetitive. You can't keep up. But you have the power to turn the dial. Sensing mode is like tuning into soft instrumental music. It's slower, quieter. Sometimes it's just silence. But it calms your nervous system. The more you practice shifting stations, the easier it gets. A quick story, the surgeon who forgot to breathe. I once worked with a surgeon named Arjun. Brilliant guy, but constantly stressed. He told me, every night after work, my mind replays every single thing I did in the OR, every decision, every word. I asked him what he felt during surgery. He paused, then said, I don't know. I never really pay attention to my body. I just live in my head. So we tried something simple. Before every surgery, he would take 30 seconds to notice his breath, his heartbeat, the feeling of his feet grounded. 3 months later, he said, I don't know if I'm thinking less, but I'm suffering less. And weirdly, I feel sharper now. That's the paradox. Less thinking equals clearer thinking. More sensing equals more living. Sensing can be emotional, too. Let's not pretend this is just about feeling the wind or watching your breath. Sometimes when you reconnect to your body, emotions surface. Tears, anger, sadness you didn't know was there. That's okay. You're not doing anything wrong. You're simply waking up after years, maybe decades, of numbing, analyzing, avoiding. Let the wave come, then let it pass. You're strong enough, and your body has always known how to heal. The shift from overthinker to observer. So here's the transformation. You go from being someone trapped in thought to someone rooted in presence. From, I need to think this through again and again, to, let me come back to my breath for a moment. From, I can't stop obsessing, to, I can feel the chair beneath me. I'm still here. From, what if everything goes wrong, to, right now I'm safe, and right now is enough. Final words for Lesson 2. Overthinking is loud, but sensing is patient. It waits for you to remember where you really are. So let this be your invitation, not to escape your thoughts, but to come home to your body, because when your feet are on the earth, your mind can finally rest. Lesson 3. Question the second arrow. Pain is inevitable, but the suffering we add, that's optional. Let's pause for a moment. Take a breath, not a forced mechanical breath, but a gentle one. Let it rise and fall like a small wave. Now, think about the last time something upset you. Maybe it was a harsh word, a job rejection, a breakup, a bill you didn't expect, something real, something you felt deeply. But what happened after that moment? Chances are, you didn't just feel the pain. You started thinking about the pain. You turned it over, inspected it, replayed it. You asked questions like, why did this happen to me? What does this say about me? What if it happens again? Maybe I deserved it. And before you knew it, the original pain multiplied. That, my friend, is what Buddhists call the second arrow, the parable. 2 arrows, 2 realities. In early Buddhist teachings, there's a powerful story. The Buddha once said, when an ordinary person is struck by a painful feeling, they resist, they resent, they react. It's as if they're struck by 2 arrows. The first is the pain. The second is their response to the pain. Think about that. The first arrow is life happening. The second arrow is what we add to it. And most of our suffering comes from the second arrow. Examples you'll probably recognize. First arrow, you get sick. Second arrow, you beat yourself up for not taking better care of your health. First arrow, a friend cancels plans. Second arrow, you spiral into self-doubt, wondering if they even like you anymore. First arrow, a coworker gives you tough feedback. Second arrow, you spend 3 days replaying the conversation, questioning your worth. The first arrow is part of life. It's real. It stings. But the second is optional, and it's where overthinking breeds. Overthinking is usually the second arrow. Let's call it what it is. Overthinking is often our way of stabbing ourselves again and again with imagined arrows. We say things like, I should have known better. What if I fail again? Why am I like this? And we believe those thoughts deserve our attention, but they don't heal the wound. They deepen it. What happens when you stop shooting that second arrow? You'll notice something strange. Pain will still happen, but you won't cling to it. It'll pass more quickly, more cleanly, without the extra baggage. You won't spin for hours. You won't construct imaginary dialogues. You won't relive the past like it's on replay. You'll feel the pain, and then it'll go, just like that. Because here's the thing, pain is information, overthinking is interpretation, and those 2 things shouldn't be confused. A real-life example, the breakup spiral. Let me tell you about Naveen. He'd just gone through a breakup. He said, I feel like I'm dying. And honestly, he looked like he hadn't slept in days. But when I asked what exactly was causing the suffering, he paused. It's not just that she left, he said. It's that I keep thinking I wasn't good enough, that maybe I'll always be alone, that I messed everything up. That's when it hit him. The breakup was the first arrow, but every thought after that was the second, third, fourth, fifth. We practiced something simple. Each time a painful thought arose, he asked, is this pain, or is this my story about the pain? And slowly, the grip loosened, not because he forced it, but because he saw it clearly, the power of clear seeing. This is the heart of Buddhist mindfulness. You don't stop suffering by fixing your thoughts. You stop suffering by seeing clearly what's happening without adding extra layers of interpretation. You learn to ask, is this the first arrow or the second? Is this real or imagined? Is this happening now, or am I reviving something old? This kind of questioning isn't harsh. It's gentle, like wiping fog off a mirror. Practice real versus imagined columns. Here's a simple journaling tool. Take a sheet of paper, divide it in half, label the left side. What actually happened, label the right side. What I'm telling myself about it. Example, what actually happened? What I'm telling myself about it. My boss asked to review my report again. He probably thinks I'm incompetent. I didn't hear back after an interview. I must have blown it. I'll never get a job. My friend didn't reply to my message. They're ignoring me. I must have done something wrong. Seeing the difference between reality and story is powerful, because once you see it, you can stop believing it. From why me to what now? This one's huge. Why me is the language of the second arrow. It keeps you stuck in past-focused pain. What now is forward-facing. It invites healing, movement, choice. Try it the next time your mind spirals. Instead of, why did they hurt me? Ask, what do I need right now to feel supported? Instead of, why did I mess up? Try, what can I learn from this that helps me grow? This shift is everything. It doesn't erase the pain, but it gives you back your power. And let's be honest, sometimes we like the second arrow. This might be hard to admit, but sometimes we cling to overthinking because it gives us a sense of purpose. It feels like doing something, like protecting ourselves. If I obsess over this, I won't get hurt again. If I figure it out, I'll stop feeling so powerless. But the irony, the second arrow is the thing keeping us in pain. You don't need to think your way out of pain. You need to feel your way through it, with presence, with compassion, with space. Final words for Lesson 3. The first arrow hurts. That's life. But the second arrow, that's a choice. And now that you can see it, you can choose differently. You don't have to keep stabbing yourself with judgment, regret, or imagined futures. You can put the arrow down, and that's when healing begins. Lesson 4. Set boundaries with your mind. Not every thought deserves your time. Not every worry needs an audience. Let me ask you something. Would you let a stranger walk into your home at 2 a.m., sit on your couch, and rant for hours about everything that could go wrong in your life? No. Then why do we let our own minds do that every single night? Here's the truth most of us were never taught. You are allowed to set boundaries with your own thoughts. Yes, even with the persistent ones, especially with the persistent ones. The myth of, but it's just thinking. We think of thoughts as harmless. It's just thinking, right? It's not like you're yelling at someone or running a marathon. It's all internal. But don't be fooled. Mental overuse is just as draining as physical overuse. And when we let our minds run wild, jumping from doubt to disaster to debate, it's like leaving every tab on your browser open for days. Eventually things slow down or crash. Mental clutter is real. Mental fatigue is real. And boundaries are the cure. You have boundaries with people. Why not with thoughts? We know how to say, no, I can't talk right now. No, I'm busy. No, I need some space. But when our mind barges in with worry, fear, what-ifs, and reruns of past conversations, we roll out the red carpet. It's time to flip that script. Here's the truth. Your mind is a brilliant tool, not a boss. Your mind is like an ultra-efficient employee. Great at analyzing, great at problem-solving, amazing at keeping you alive. But if left unsupervised, it overworks. It starts trying to fix things that aren't broken. It takes on projects that don't belong to it. And you end up stressed, exhausted, and paralyzed. You don't fire your mind. You just give it better boundaries. The overthinker's trap. Mistaking planning for peace. Ever notice how overthinking often pretends to be productive? I just want to be prepared. I'm trying to understand what happened. I need to think this through a little more. It feels like you're doing something useful, but the real test is this. Is your thinking helping you move forward or keeping you stuck in the same loop? Because spinning your wheels isn't the same as moving forward. The mental stop sign, introducing the worry appointment. Here's one of the simplest tools you'll ever use. Schedule your worrying. Sounds weird, maybe, but it works. Give yourself a 15-minute block every day. Set a timer. During that time, go ahead, worry, think, ruminate, play out the what-ifs, vent on paper if you need to. But when the timer ends, you're done. You gently say to your mind, thanks, but we'll come back to this tomorrow. This trick gives your brain structure, a container, a message that says, you don't get to hijack my entire day. Time boxing, a mental boundary that actually works. Time boxing is a technique used by developers, designers, and productivity nerds everywhere. The idea? Assign specific chunks of time to specific mental tasks. So if you're stuck thinking about a work decision, give yourself 10 focused minutes. That's it. Then walk away. It's like giving your thoughts a leash. They still get to run around, but not forever. The Buddhist parallel, the arising and ceasing of thought. In Buddhist teachings, there's a deep emphasis on the impermanence of all things, including thoughts. A thought arises, it exists, it fades. You don't have to do anything with it. But what we often do is this. We chase it, we extend it, we attach to it. Instead, the practice is to observe, oh, here is worry, oh, here is fear, and then let it go. Like watching clouds drift across the sky without trying to lasso them down. Boundaries aren't about force, they're about letting go sooner. Real life story, the teacher who scheduled her anxiety. Let me tell you about Preeti. She was a high school teacher, always thinking ahead, always preparing, but her anxiety would spike at night, worrying about her students, her lessons, her performance. So we tried something simple. Every evening at 6 p.m., she'd set a timer for 12 minutes. She called it her thinking time. She'd sit with a notebook and let it all out. What if the kids don't understand tomorrow's lesson? What if the principal criticizes my new approach? What if I fail? But when the timer rang, she'd close the notebook, light a candle, make tea, play music. Within 3 weeks, her anxiety dropped dramatically, not because she stopped worrying, but because she contained it. Another tool, the mental door technique. Picture a door in your mind. When intrusive thoughts arrive, especially the same ones you've heard 100 times, you imagine closing the door gently, not slamming it, not locking it, just closing it for now. You can even say to yourself, not now. You've already told me that. This technique sounds simple, and it is. But the key is repetition. The mind learns through patterns. And when you teach it that not all thoughts get a front row seat, it slowly adapts. Create mental do not disturb hours. You create sleep routines, work hours, and phone-free time. Why not create thought boundaries too? Try this. After 8 p.m., no decision-making during meals, no planning or reviewing conversations, morning walk, no problem-solving. It's not about being rigid, it's about being intentional. Your mental bandwidth is precious. Guard it like gold. Yes, you'll break these rules. That's okay. Look, you'll still overthink sometimes. You'll still chase a thought down a rabbit hole. You'll still replay a conversation from last week when you're brushing your teeth. That's human. But now, you'll notice it faster. You'll return sooner. You'll stop giving every thought unlimited airtime. And over time, that changes everything. Final words for Lesson 4. Mental freedom doesn't come from controlling every thought. It comes from creating space around them. Boundaries aren't walls. They're clarity. They tell your mind, you're allowed to speak, but you're not allowed to shout all day. So set those boundaries. Build mental fences. Schedule your spirals if you must. And then live. Live outside your head. Live in your breath. Live in your body. Live in this moment. It's waiting for you. Lesson 5. Stop solving emotions like math problems. You can't think your way out of what you need to feel. Let's be real. When was the last time you tried to figure out your emotions? Not feel them, not sit with them, but analyze them, dissect them, problem solve them like some kind of emotional equation. Okay, I'm feeling anxious. Why? What triggered it? What's the root cause? What can I do to fix it? Should I journal about it? Should I reframe it? Maybe I need to read another article. Maybe I missed something. Sound familiar? We treat emotions like puzzles, and when they don't resolve fast enough, we think we're broken, but emotions aren't problems. They're processes, and the more you try to think your way around them, the longer they stay. The illusion of emotional logic. Let's say you're feeling sad. Immediately your mind wants to know why. But here's the twist. Sometimes there is no single why. Sometimes your nervous system is tired, or your body remembers something your conscious mind forgot, or you've just held too much for too long, yet we keep asking, where is this coming from? What does it mean about me? How can I make it go away? That's when overthinking takes the wheel. But emotions don't speak in logic. They speak in sensation, in energy, in presence. Trying to solve sadness with logic is like trying to write poetry with a calculator. It's just the wrong tool. The Buddhist view emotions as weather. In Buddhist practice, emotions are seen like weather. They arise, they pass. They are not permanent. They do not define you. You're not the storm. You're the sky that holds it. This view is powerful because it allows you to feel without identifying. You can say, this is sadness moving through me, not, I am sad and therefore broken. You stop clinging. You stop panicking. You stop trying to dissect every drop of rain. You wait. You breathe. You let it pass. Why we avoid feeling? It's not laziness. It's fear. We avoid emotions not because we're weak, but because we're scared. Scared that if we let sadness in, it'll never leave. Scared that anger will burn everything down. Scared that grief will swallow us whole. So we think instead. We overanalyze. We narrate the emotion instead of feeling it. But here's the thing. Emotions are usually more patient than we are. They'll wait and wait and wait until you finally sit still long enough to feel them. Feeling is faster than thinking. You know what's wild? When you actually feel an emotion, fully, without judgment, it often lasts less than 90 seconds. 90 seconds. It's the resisting, avoiding, analyzing, and looping that makes it last days or weeks. Think about it. The last time you had an emotional breakdown, what actually helped? Was it more thinking, or was it a deep cry, a quiet moment alone, a walk in nature, a hug, a deep exhale? Feeling moves emotion. Thinking often traps it. Real story. The corporate exec who couldn't cry. A woman I worked with, we'll call her Ria, was a top executive at a finance firm. Sharp, driven, successful, but under the surface, constant overthinking, tight chest, sleepless nights. She told me, I've got this tightness here, pointing to her solar plexus. But I don't have time to feel things. I need to stay on top of it all. So I asked her, what would happen if you just let that tightness be here without trying to figure it out? She said nothing, just sat. And tears came. Not dramatic ones, just a steady, quiet stream, no thoughts, no story, just emotion moving through. And afterward, she said, that was the first time I felt okay in weeks, and I didn't do anything. That's the lesson. Sometimes the healing happens when you stop doing and start allowing. How to actually feel without getting lost. Feeling your emotions doesn't mean drowning in them. It's not about wallowing or breaking down. It's about witnessing, honoring, and allowing without judgment. Here's how. 1. Name it gently. I'm feeling anxious, not I am anxious. You're naming it, not becoming it. 2. Locate it in the body. Where do you feel it? Chest, throat, gut. Is it hot, tight, buzzing, heavy? Describing the sensation grounds you. It reminds you, this is happening in you, not to you. 3. Breathe through it, don't analyze it. Instead of asking why, ask, can I sit with this without fixing it? Let the emotion rise and fall. Like a tide, feel the wave, then let it go. Helpful analogy, the overloaded washing machine. Imagine stuffing a washing machine with way too many clothes. It rattles, it groans. It can't finish the cycle. That's your mind when it's overloaded with unfelt emotion. You've got to let it run. Let the machine process. Let it spin, rinse, and drain. But if you keep adding more mental clutter, more what-ifs and whys and what does this mean, you jam the whole thing. Sometimes you just need to sit down, breathe, and let the machine do its thing. Overthinking as emotional avoidance. Let's call it what it is. Overthinking is often emotional avoidance in disguise. Instead of feeling loneliness, we try to understand why we're lonely. Instead of feeling shame, we dissect the moment that triggered it. Instead of grieving, we analyze how we could have prevented the loss. It's not wrong. It's just inefficient. You're not a robot. You don't need to process everything through logic. Sometimes what you really need is a nap, a cry, or to sit under a tree for 10 minutes without solving a thing. Final words for Lesson 5. You are not a problem to be solved. Your emotions are not enemies to defeat. They're messengers, waves, weather. You don't need to understand every feeling. You just need to feel them, fully, honestly, gently. And when you do, they move. You move. And overthinking loses its grip. Lesson 6. Make peace with uncertainty. You don't need to know what's next to feel safe right now. Let's finish with the hardest one. It's the root of so much overthinking, the hidden engine behind our spiraling thoughts. It's what drives anxiety, indecision, and all those exhausting mental simulations that run late into the night. Uncertainty. We hate it. We try to fix it, plan around it, argue with it, make spreadsheets about it, and even pretend it doesn't exist. But deep down, we know. We can't control everything, and that truth, it's terrifying. But here's the deeper truth, we don't need to. Why uncertainty feels so unsafe. Your brain is wired for survival, not happiness, and one of its primary survival tools, prediction. If the brain knows what's coming, it feels safe. If it doesn't, it assumes danger. That's why uncertainty, especially emotional uncertainty, feels like a threat. What if I lose them? What if this doesn't work out? What if I make the wrong choice? These aren't just questions. They're perceived threats, and your mind responds by trying to solve the uncertainty endlessly. Overthinking becomes your way of building a false sense of control. But control isn't peace. Control is a cage. The Buddhist lens, the freedom of letting go. In Buddhist philosophy, control is seen as one of the root illusions, Maya. We believe that if we try hard enough, think long enough, or plan thoroughly enough, we can avoid pain. But the more we grip, the more we suffer. Instead, the path to peace is surrender. Not to failure or chaos, but to reality. The reality that life is unpredictable, that people change, that outcomes shift, that nothing is guaranteed, not even the next breath. And paradoxically, when you stop resisting that truth, you find freedom. Uncertainty is the soil of growth. Here's the thing, if everything were certain, if you knew exactly how life would unfold, there'd be no adventure, no growth, no discovery, no depth. Uncertainty is the doorway to change. It's uncomfortable, yes, but it's also the only place where transformation happens. Think about it. Falling in love is uncertain. Starting a new job is uncertain. Healing is uncertain. Creativity is uncertain. Saying yes to life, always uncertain. But it's also where everything beautiful begins. The illusion of control versus the practice of trust. Overthinkers tend to build elaborate mental fortresses. If I can predict every outcome, I won't be hurt. If I prepare enough, I'll avoid regret. But that mindset doesn't protect you, it imprisons you. Instead of living, you're rehearsing. Instead of choosing, you're hesitating. Instead of trusting, you're testing the water 100 times before ever stepping in. So what's the alternative? Trust. Not blind faith, not naivety, but a grounded trust in yourself. Whatever happens, I'll meet it. I don't know what's next, but I know who I am. I can walk forward even if I can't see the whole path. That's real strength. Practice the what if, what is shift. When your mind starts spinning out with what ifs, try this. 1. Notice the worry. What if I mess up? 2. Pause, breathe, then ask, what is actually happening right now? 3. Respond to reality, not imagination. Example, what if I fail this interview? What is happening? I'm nervous. That's okay. I'm preparing. I'm showing up. What if this relationship ends? What is happening? We had a misunderstanding. I'm feeling scared. But nothing's ended yet. By shifting from what if to what is, you come back to the only moment you have, now. Another tool, the could I handle it question. Your brain loves to imagine worst-case scenarios, but it rarely asks, could I handle it if it happened? So try this. What if I don't get the job? Could I handle it? Yes, I've been rejected before. I'll find another path. What if they leave me? Could I handle it? It would hurt, but I've survived heartbreak. I'd survive again. This question doesn't deny fear. It reminds you of your resilience, and that reminder, it quiets the noise. Real-life story. The entrepreneur who couldn't sleep. A man I knew, we'll call him Dev, had just started his first business. He was talented, resourceful, visionary, but every night he'd lie awake worrying. What if this fails? What if I made a mistake? What if I'm not cut out for this? He tried productivity hacks. He read business books. He even meditated. Nothing worked. Finally, we tried something radical. I asked him, could you allow yourself not to know? He said, that sounds terrifying. But slowly, he practiced sitting with that feeling, not fixing it, not thinking it away, just breathing, softening, letting the unknown be there without needing to solve it. And over time, the panic softened. The fear didn't vanish, but it stopped owning him. He learned how to sleep beside uncertainty. And sometimes, that's all you need. A gentle reminder, uncertainty doesn't mean you're lost. We often confuse not knowing with being lost, but they're not the same. Not knowing means there's space to discover, to create, to grow. Lost means you've forgotten yourself. But if you can sit in the unknown and stay connected to yourself, you're not lost. You're just becoming. Final words for Lesson 6. You don't have to conquer uncertainty. You just have to stop fearing it like a monster under the bed. It's part of life. It's part of love. It's part of growth. And now you know how to meet it, with breath, with presence, with trust. Because the goal isn't to know everything. The goal is to live fully, freely, peacefully, even when you don't. Final thoughts. Let go, live light. Let's recap softly. 1. Don't worship every thought. You are not your mind. You're the one watching it. 2. Shift to your senses. The body knows how to come home when the mind gets lost. 3. Stop shooting the second arrow. Pain happens, but suffering? Often optional. 4. Set boundaries with your mind. Not every worry deserves your energy. 5. Feel more, solve less. Emotions aren't math problems, they're waves. 6. Make peace with the unknown. Life doesn't owe you certainty, but it offers you presence. Let go of the noise. Let go of the loops. Let go of needing to know everything before you take the next step. You were never meant to carry it all in your head. Put it down and walk freely. You're already enough. You're already home. Like this story, let it sit with you. Share it with someone who's thinking too much. And if you'd like more content like this, you know what to do. Like, subscribe and turn on the bell. Your peace is worth it, always. Pukal.